Welcome back to Tech Talk with Aegis. Today, we are going to dive deep into the crucial world of Microsoft 365 backup. And who better to guide us than the expert himself, Mr. Tay, Veeam's System Engineering Manager. He is going to drop some serious knowledge bombs on Veeam backup for Microsoft 365. So let's dive right into it, shall we? Thank you, Mr. Tay, for joining us today, for spending your time with us.
Thank you, Ivy, for inviting us and myself for having this session with you today.
Sure, no problem. Now, to kickstart, right, can you share with us about your role at Veeam and what sparked your interest in the world of backup?
All right. Yeah. So I'm actually the system engineer manager for the region. Basically, I'm based out in Singapore, but my countries of coverage includes Singapore, Malaysia, as well as the emerging countries in Southeast Asia plus Korea, namely Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, plus Philippines. Right. What sparks me is actually I get into the data protection storage technology by chance, because actually when I first graduated, I actually graduated from bachelor in IT focusing on data communication. Back then was data communication, but when my first job, when I joined from a system integrator plus distribution, I was doing data protection, tape drive, SAN not SAN storage. Back then don't have SAN, but more of shared storages plus backup solution software. Right. And from there, it actually exposed me to various technology. And ever since, I never looked back. I've been doing storage, high availability, data protection, and that's where I'm here today.
Yeah, so you're like the guru of data protection, so to say.
Not fair to say that, but it's always learning. It's always a journey, a never-ending journey as technology evolves. And it's always good to help our customers whenever they hit into problems, whenever they have the data management issues, right? We are here to help them. I think that is the most satisfying of the whole job.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your brief, description of yourself. Now let's ask our very first question, which is about the Microsoft 365 backup. Yeah. Now, the question would be, why do we still need Microsoft 365 backup when the data is already seated in Microsoft Cloud?
Well, I think this is a very good start of questions, right? As we all know, Microsoft 365 is a SaaS offering, software as a service offering collaboration, messaging for businesses, right? But Microsoft only provide you certain service level agreement based on the service they're offering to their customers, all right? As a shared responsibility model that we all know in SaaS model, data is always the ownership of the customer, making sure that the data is intact, or whoever can access those data is always lie on the owner themselves, the data owners themselves. Yeah. So of course, when data is being so-called managed by the owner, then they need to understand that people tends to have or make mistakes like such as accidental deletion. Then, as we know, the security landscape of cyber has become more complex or more intelligence of, right? So security threats is always out there, right? That we need to address to prevent data loss. And of course, Microsoft 365, they have their own retention, but that may not be sufficient for the organization, where retention and compliance needs may varies from what Microsoft 365 offer, right? And then, of course, there's definitely not always, but sometimes there is service outages whereby you can't access your Microsoft 365 data, but you need to continue operate where you need to have access to your own set of data. And last but not least, of course, historical data such as movement of employees. Where employees no longer exist, do you need those data? Definitely, most organizations will need that historical data to access, right? So, in summary, while Microsoft do offer some kind of protection, but as the independent and comprehensive backup strategy, it gives you added resiliency, right, and faster recovery and increased control over your data as an organization.
Yeah, I think those are all very, very valid reasons of why you need a Microsoft 365 backup protection. Yeah. And now coming back to question number 2, what are the potential risks of not having a backup for Microsoft 365?
All right, coming from a data protection vendor, definitely, all right, you definitely risk like not having a second set of data, right? Just relying on the production data means you probably will lose your data, right? In events of accidental deletion that I've stated earlier on, right? It could be just malicious activities. It could be system error that create this data loss, right? With a backup. Of course, the infamous ransomware attack that everyone is talking about. I don't think I need to elaborate more, but everyone is very familiar with this for the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years, right? And of course, compliance and legal risks, right? Especially organization in the regulated industry definitely need to relook at data retention and compliance needs, right? And of course, those same thing, service outages, with the limited retention period that Microsoft offer, then you need to evaluate where else or how long do you need to keep your data, right? And of course, dependency on Microsoft backup, relying on the built-in backup capabilities may not be sufficient for the organization in that sense, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now, how does Veeam address the specific backup needs of Microsoft 365 users?
Yeah, good question. So, Veeam Backup for 365 give you a complete holistic 365 protection, right? Namely, we provide data protection for Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, as well as Microsoft Teams. But there's also another additional protection we offer to our customer means Microsoft Exchange on-prem, which we hear less and hear less, but that we do offer protection for those mailboxes on-prem, as well as SharePoint on-prem. They still exist out there, right? That you still need protection, right? Although most of them have moved to online. There's also the granularity of recovery, right? So it's not always say I want to recover everything from Microsoft 365. You may want to be able to specifically choose a mail. It could be just a file that you want to restore. So Veeam provides that granularity of having that capability to restore that little item there. And then, of course, enhanced security. Going back to the ransomware stuff, you want to make sure that your backups have the capability of protecting, so to have the immutability capability, right? Preventing whether accidental or intent of destroying your data or encrypting your data, right? And of course, giving you the flexibility to choose your retention period as well, right? And I think the most important is the advanced search and e-discovery, right? Where we allow a customer to search for a specific item within the Microsoft 365, especially in organizations that are huge and they have long-term retention period. And going back to find a particular item from a particular period of time, right, give you that flexibility and efficiency, right? And of course, last but not least, the scalability, the capability to grow with the organization as their business group or their data group as well. And last but not least, Veeam as a market leader for Microsoft 365, protecting more than 18 million mailboxes worldwide, is a trusted backup vendor. Right?
Yeah, yeah. So all that you have mentioned earlier, those are the key features of Veeam's Microsoft 365 backup solution, I believe. Yeah. Is there any other, any other key features that you want to highlight that only Veeam Microsoft 365 backup has compared to other backup providers or backup solutions in the market?
All right. For Microsoft 365, I think Veeam, of course, go to market with Aegis like yourself as a Veeam so-called cloud and service provider that using Veeam powered tech solution to protect our customer. We also go to market in various consumption model, right? We do allow them to own it, right? To consume it on their own. And of course, the main thing is that Veeam give our customer the capability to store their data wherever they choose to, whether they want it to be with the service provider like yourself, or they want it to have a copy on-prem or in other public cloud, that give them the flexibility, right? And of course, last but not least, the intuitive user interface. For me, right, when I first used Veeam Backup for 365 as administrator from a back-end operation, it's very intuitive. It's very simple to understand and manage, right? And of course, I forgot to mention, not the last, but the most important is the purpose-built recovery tool that we allow the administrator to perform recovery. There's a lot of nitty-gritty stuff that helps the restore administrator to do their task more effectively and efficiently, right?
So, Veeam's Microsoft 365 backup, is it only targeted for administrators to control and manage, or even end users themselves can do it?
Yes. So yes, that's one of the things. Like definitely the end users or the assigned nominated users can restore on their own or restore for their counterparts in the same department. So they have the flexibility that they can do self-service, or they can assign or dedicate someone to restore on their behalf. Take for example, maybe the C level may not want to do their own recovery. They want to assign to their personal assistants to help them restore those data. That is possible. We give them the flexibility as well as the confidentiality to prevent any data exposure of sensitive data during the recovery.
Yeah, I think for more streamlined manageability and to minimize any errors here and there, I think it's better if we proposed to only give the administrators to do it for any backup or restore activities. Yeah, that would be the way to go, advisable way to go.
It's definitely is advisable. I mean, of course, you'd want the administrator to be bogged down by so many requests from the user. If the user can self-service, that would definitely recommend that. And of course, confidential of data is important, especially from department of very sensitive, like handling very sensitive data, or even from the management, right? So having that self-service portal definitely give you an so-called edge and flexibility. Of course, in the event of having the backend is to manage in the event of customer want to bulk unload, bulk export those data when the user have moved on, or they want to move those data to somewhere else. That functionality is still there for the backend operation as well.
Okay, and now what advice would you give to organizations considering implementing a backup solution for their Microsoft 365?
I have to be neutral here. I can't be too biased, but definitely yes. Right. Coming from the end user or consumer perspective, definitely these are a couple of things that the consumer need to evaluate. Identify your backup requirement, right? Assess what kind of recovery time objective or recovery point objective that you want to achieve, and also what is the backup solution you are looking for that is aligned to your business goal, right? It's always about business, and then using that business goal to define your technical requirement. Of course, definitely, the consumer need to get their hands a bit dirty, to go and do some research, right? Doing some comparison, maybe referring to some, going to the website to read about the product, or even going to third party evaluators to review the customer reviews or users review of a particular products that they are interested in. And then, of course, look for comprehensive protection. Right? What are the things that or data that you want to protect, right? For example, if you are just looking to protect your Exchange Online, are you looking just, or you want to look at protecting SharePoint Online, or even say Microsoft Teams? Are you looking just for data protection for Microsoft Teams, right? Those are the things that you want to evaluate. Like for example, earlier on, I say, if let's say your customer also have some Microsoft Exchange on-prem or even SharePoint on-prem that you want to protect, can that product provide you those coverage as well, right? And of course, security measures, whether the solution provide you certain security controls, such as self-service portal, so that no one can access to the CEO's data, or the finance department looking at the pay of the, right? So you want to have that self-service portal capability so that the person can perform his own restore. And of course, ensure scalability, whether that product can scale with your business needs, right? And performance, right? Recovery performance or backup performance that address your RTO, RPO requirement, right? And then, of course, test and validate those things, those products that you evaluate, make sure that it is what it is, right? You are getting what you wanted. And of course, consider the total cost of ownership, right? What is the cost? Definitely, that is I think, the priority one for most consumer, right? And of course, other than that, need to think about in events, right? You don't just buy insurance, but you want to make sure that you are able to execute a recovery. How easy or how effective is that recovery process? And then, of course, last but not least, you need to train and educate your users. You can implement those things, but you also want to make sure that your users are informed, are knowledgeable to use the product in terms of self-recovery. How easy is for the users to be self-help themselves to perform those recovery as well. Right? That's what I think that consumers should consider about.
Yeah, I think Aegis Cloud has been partnering with Veeam to sell the Microsoft 365 backup solution, for I think coming to close to 5 years now. Yeah, and then most of our Microsoft 365 backup customers, they are very happy using Veeam because the feedback is always about Veeam is simplicity. Yeah, user interface, everything is very easy. Yeah, but it's powerful in the sense that it fulfills all their requirements, whatever that all their needs is being fulfilled. So yeah. So good job to Veeam for backing up Microsoft 365 data so efficiently, seamlessly.
Thank you very much, Ivy, for supporting us, our business, and we hope to grow with you. Yeah, you are spot on. We always emphasize on simple, flexible, and powerful for our customer to use our products.
Yeah. What a great feedback from customers.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have reached the end of our session today. Thank you so much, Mr. Tay, once again for joining us today. Your perspective and experience has truly added value to our discussion.
Thank you very much, Ivy. Once again, thank you for having us and having us so-called be our great business partner for Veeam for all these last 5 years. Right, many more years to go ahead.
To viewers out there, if you wish to see more content on backup and disaster recovery solution updates, kindly follow Aegis Cloud's social platform such as LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you.